assign some medical benefits to fucking alcohol. Oh, a glass of wine a day is good for the heart, you see. Yeah. Really? Weed helps give cancer patients their appetite back so that they can have more energy to fight cancer. Fuck you! Weed alleviates pain naturally. Weed can help get rid of the effects of a lot of the fucking drugs that we use for pain relief. We can increase libido. Oh, well, won't weed make you lazy and tired and so that you won't want to do anything? Certain strains, yeah. But that could be what you need necessarily. You could be taking all this fucking Ambien and bullshit that has people fucking driving in a state of sleep into accidents and killing people and all this other bullshit, or you could smoke a joint and pass the fuck out on your couch. Which sounds more dangerous? And Ambien is prescribed by a doctor. Ask your doctor about Ambien. Whereas weed, you can grow that shit yourself! So why is it that weed is illegal while all these other chemicals and bullshit is legal? Money and power. Money and fucking power. And the thing is that the generations past, the people in power have built this stage, built this arena where weed is such a menace. It's such a scourge to our children and the people of this nation that we must never legalize it. And that's gone on for fucking generations. So now the first politician to say, or now any politician that says weed should be legalized is immediately demonized for making that statement, even though it's scientifically and medically true. And has been since the beginning of goddamn time. Are there any drawbacks to weed? Yes. If you're under the age of about 18 to 21, because your brain hasn't fully developed yet. So really, any addition that you make to that process can hurt that process. Whether it's weed, whether it's alcohol, whether it's cocaine, whether it's certain medications, you have to be careful about what you put into a young system, a young brain, before it's fully developed. Anything, including weed. But once you're an adult, there's literally zero reason not to smoke weed. Literally none. And many states in the union have made that assertion, including California, has said for medical purposes, weed is fine. Colorado has said for any fucking purpose, weed is fine. God fucking bless you, or Sorkin fucking bless you, Colorado, for saying that for any purposes, weed is acceptable. Because for any fucking purposes, weed is acceptable. For any fucking purposes, weed is acceptable. It fucking is. It has even been shown to help alleviate morning sickness in pregnant women. So, for the Santa Ana Police Department to come into this dispensary and looking at the footage on the camera, there is almost literally no one is a threat to anybody. Have you ever been to a dispensary? I personally have never been to a dispensary, but I have people who have. I know people who have. They are the most peaceful places on the planet. They go to dispensaries for hours at a time, and not necessarily smoking, but enjoying the other people's company. That's another one of the dangerous side effects of weed, is liking people. Is fucking liking people. So these people go to the dispensaries, and they spend hours at a time there talking about the weed, talking about the different strains, talking about the business, and just shooting the shit. just enjoying each other's company, just communing with another human being. Not via the internet like this 2 Drink Minimum channel, not via phone or text or Skype or that stupid shit Periscope or whatever the fuck, but person. It's the best, weed is the best social media ever. Person to person. No one had a gun, no one was threatening anybody. These fucking vice laws are ridiculous. Are fucking ridiculous. And if you're a fucking conservative and you're like, oh, weed should be illegal, I defy you to comment below and give me a good reason why weed is illegal. I fucking defy you. By the way, Mr. Conservative Pants, let me give you a story. I have a friend of mine who went into the military. Known him since high school. He went to the military. He ended up with PTSD as a result of going to the military and fighting your good wars overseas. He ended up with PTSD. He came home, but he ended up with PTSD. I know a couple people who came home with PTSD from the military who around this time of year have a extraordinarily hard time because of all the firecrackers and fireworks that go off. And because of flashbacks to their service and possible injuries and so on and so forth. Weed helps alleviate those soldiers' pain. Naturally. Weed helps those soldiers have a good night's sleep. Naturally. For you to stand, sit, lay, or whatever position you're in there and say to me or to those fucking soldiers, to say to anyone in a position of need for what marijuana can do for them, in a position of need of a good night's sleep, in a position of need of not being scared all the time, in a position of need of being able to connect again with their family and the rest of the world, in a position of need in where they can eat to help stave off and or fight and or end and or cure whatever disease that they are fighting, that expensive medical research cannot duplicate. For you to stand there and say that weed should be illegal, for you to stand there and justify the actions of this podunk fuck you police force and say that what they did, what they said, the actions that they carried out is okay, is beyond beyond fucked up. Told you the drinks had hit me. It's beyond fucked up. It's beyond reprehensible, is what I meant to say. Beyond it. It's beyond the goddamn pale. It's beyond the fucking pale. What these actions show me is that Santa Ana clearly does not have a crime problem. I would never want to go to Santa Ana ever. Santa Ana is good reason why, as a result of what I went through at Whittier College, is a community where there's literally zero crime. So someone like me who just fucking drives through would be a perfect goddamn target, because guess what? The police don't have shit to do there, apparently. They have to justify their existence. And they can't justify their existence with crime, because crime clearly is at an all-time low in Santa Ana. Clearly. I'm not looking up any fucking stats. I'm saying from this fucking video, clearly the cops in Santa Ana have literally nothing to do. Otherwise, they'd be doing that. Apparently, murder in Santa Ana isn't a problem. Robberies in Santa Ana aren't a problem. Carjackings, whatever, purse snatchings, whatever. Apparently, every fucking crime stat is at a goddamn zero. Why? Because they're wasting their time on this. 16 hours on this. The cops are going to be interviewed by the way, means nothing's going to happen to them. Why is nothing going to happen to them? Because they carried out the letter of the law. And that goes right back to the whole cops, soldiers, gang members mentality. Is letter of instead of spirit of. They letter of instead of cops. A lot of times, and you see this a lot. You saw this in fucking Texas. You saw this fucking. You see this in all these fucking stories that come up about police brutality. You see this in all these fucking stories. These cops have zero fucking sense of the spirit of the law they're supposed to carry out. All they understand is orders. And they're trained to only understand orders. Same thing with military, same thing with fucking gangs. They're only trained to understand orders. They're only trained to understand this is what you do. They are not trained to ask why. They are not only not trained to ask why, they're trained not to ask why. They are trained to get whatever mentality they have to ask why out of their fucking heads. Because if the cops bothered to ask why are they doing this, then they might be nudged to ask a second question. Well, why is that so? Well, why is that so? Well, why is that so? It's funny because adults get fucking pissed off at kids who ask why all the time. Explain why. Explain why they had to raid that pot shop. And then explain why it's against the law. But they don't want to do that. And that's not what they're going to do. They're just going to have the cops carry out the letter of the law, and that's it. And that's fucked up. So yes, there should be attention on Santa Ana. Yes, there should be attention on these cops. Yes, there should be attention on the marijuana and overall drug laws in this fucking country. Because we've got it completely goddamn backwards. Yes. Yes, and yes. Peel your motherfucking eyeballs back. And look at what's actually going on. And ask why. Ask why. Why is it that the federal laws haven't caught up to the state laws yet? Why is it that this fucking police station with literally, apparently, nothing else to do can have the time, the balls, and the energy, and the money to get away with bullshit like this? Ask why. That war on drugs that was supposed to be a big thing in the 80s, that the Reagans and the Bushes made sure was a thing, ask why that failed. Ask why. Ask a scientist why that failed. Ask a doctor why that failed. Ask why. Ask why. If you're ignorant about the subject, I guarantee you won't get the answer you expect. Ask why Santa Ana had so much time, energy, and money on their hands that they could go into a peaceful dispensary and harass apparent patients who needed marijuana. Ask them why. And if all they have to say is, well, it's the law, then send their criminal asses to fucking jail.
Sit back, city, sit back, city, bitch. Sit back, city, sit back, city, bitch. Sit back, city, sit back, city, bitch. Sit back, city, sit back, city, bitch.